This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
President of the Republic, Supreme Head of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense Abdelmajid Tebboune has chaired at the Hawari Boumediene Military Academy in Shershel the graduation ceremony of the 2023-2024 year. And on this occasion, Army General Saïd Chengriha said Algeria has shown under the leadership of the President of the Republic her commitment to contribute to regional and international peace efforts. Participants to the Sao Paulo Forum have called on all governments of Latin America and Caribbean states to support the right of Sahrawi people to self-determination and independence. And the UN Security Council is to hold tomorrow, Tuesday, a session to address the ongoing humanitarian situation in Gaza. And those were the major developments. Now the full news edition. Good afternoon. The President of the Republic, Supreme Head of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense Abdelmajid Tebboune has chaired at the Hawari Boumediene Military Academy in Shershel the graduation ceremony for the 2023-2024 year. The ceremony took place in the presence of senior state officials and senior officers of the People's National Army. Earlier, the President of the Republic arrived at the academy where he was welcomed by Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, Army General Saïd Chengriha. The President of the Republic subsequently reviewed the detachment of the AMP, which honored him and listened to the national anthem. He also paid tribute to the memory of the late President, Hawari Boumediene, whose name the military academy bears, and laid a wreath of flowers at the memorial stone. On this occasion, Army General Saïd Chengriha said Algeria has shown under the leadership of President Tebboune her commitment to contribute to regional and international peace efforts.
Algeria was and still is a security and stability anchor in its geopolitical environment thanks to her peaceful orientations and her principles consisting of good neighborliness and cooperation, solidarity and rejection of all kinds of dominance, tyranny, violation of other states' sovereignty and interference in their internal affairs. In this line, our country has shown under the leadership of the President of the Republic her total readiness to contribute to the international and the regional effort aimed at fighting terrorism, all kinds of organized crimes and illegal migration, notably through her commitment to ensuring the ties of solidarity and developing the basis and mechanisms of common security.
He added that the National People's Army is relentlessly working on developing all its components to guarantee a life of dignity and development to Algerian people.
I would like to stress that we are determined to keep working on the process of developing all the components of the National People's Army and laying all the complements of the integrated work and the desired harmony for the aim of meeting the legal aspirations of our people to a life of dignity in the light of development, prosperity, and in a context of security and stability.
That was the statement of the Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, Army General Saïd Chengriha. And the Independent National Elections Authority said 31 candidates for the September 7th presidential election have withdrawn their individual signature application forms. The withdrawal of individual signature application forms is continuing at ANI's headquarters at the Palace of the Nation in Algiers until midnight on July 18th, 2024. The Speaker of the People's National Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, has called here in Algiers for working for a successful outcome to the presidential election scheduled for September 7th in order to consolidate the democracy that the Algerian people are determined to strengthen in the framework of national cohesion and a strong domestic front. Mr. Boughali also called on the people to exercise their legitimate right in the most important national election to consolidate the democratic process through free and sovereign choice at an important stage in the life of our nation, which has chosen the democratic path to strengthen its foundations and enshrine the culture of state of institutions in compliance with the Constitution and the laws of the Republic.
The meeting on September 7th is an opportunity for the people to exercise their right to vote in a transparent and democratic way Algeria will continue its efforts to support the process of completing the building of the new Algeria that began after the blessed Hirak. We will exercise this right in an environment of security and stability that our country enjoys thanks to the cohesion of society and the synergy between the various institutions, as well as the vigilance of our brave army for all that is being maneuvered, especially in the current context of unrest and instability that our borders are experiencing.
He also emphasized that the People's National Assembly worked hard to support the process of completing the building of a new Algeria under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, thanks to sustained efforts that enabled major achievements to be made. The United Nations Security Council is scheduled to convene a special session tomorrow, Tuesday, to address the ongoing humanitarian situation in Gaza, especially focusing on reconstruction efforts in the region. Members of the Security Council will receive a briefing from the United Nations Coordinator for Humanitarian Affairs and Reconstruction in Gaza. The briefing is in accordance with Resolution 2720, adopted on December 22nd, 2023. The Hamas resistance movement has said that the Zionist occupation army's use of Palestinian prisoners as shields during its military operations in the Gaza Strip is a full-fledged war crime, calling on the International Criminal Court to add human shield crimes file for which the occupation leaders are being tried. A member of the Hamas political bureau has confirmed in a press statement that the apartheid occupation army's use of Palestinian detainees as human shields during its terrorist operations in the Gaza Strip is a full-fledged crime, a blatant violation of all laws and the rights of prisoners, and a disregard of all international conventions and treaties. And the Israeli occupation forces has committed 2 massacres against families in the Gaza Strip over the last 24 hours, resulting in the documented killing of at least 23 Palestinians and the injury of 91 others, according to medical sources. Local health authorities confirmed that the Palestinian death toll from the Israeli onslaught since October 7th has risen to 37,900 reported fatalities, with an additional 87,060 individuals sustaining injuries. The majority of the victims are women and children. Meanwhile, 1 civilian was killed and several others were injured as an Israeli reconnaissance plane bombed a civilian vehicle east of the city of Khan Yunis, resulting in the killing of 1 civilian and the wounding of several others. Regarding the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East, UNRWA facilitates capacities to provide help in the war-torn zone. Our radio contacted UNRWA's Director of Information in the Gaza Strip, Ines Hamdan.
Only 1/3 of the health centers is functional in the Gaza Strip because they do not allow medical supplies to arrive. International warnings have been issued that if food transactions via the crossing points are not increased, nearly 1 million people in the Gaza Strip will be at risk of famine. By mid-July, the rate of food insecurity is increasing at an alarming rate, as many children are dying due to malnutrition and dehydration, as well as the spread of diseases such as hepatitis and skin diseases.
That was the Director of Information for UNRWA in the Gaza Strip, Ines Hamdan. And a Palestinian child and a woman were killed and 4 others were injured by Israeli occupation forces' bullets during their large-scale aggression against the city of Tulkarem and its 2 camps. Meanwhile, the Israeli occupation forces blew up a house in Nur Shams refugee camp east of the city of Tulkarem, causing extensive destruction to its infrastructure. And the Arab Executive Committee has condemned the Moroccan authorities' move in allowing the Israeli Navy ship to dock at a Moroccan port, enabling its crew to replenish fuel and food supplies amid the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Miriam Barshi has the details.
The Arab Executive described the Moroccan authorities' actions as disgraceful, especially that non-Arab and non-Muslim countries refused to allow Israeli ships to dock at their ports. The Arab Executive emphasized that this action constitutes complicity and participation of the Moroccan authorities with the Israeli occupation in its aggression against the Palestinian people and the desecration of the sanctities of the Moroccan people and the Arab and Islamic nations. This came while the Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions Movement, BDS, warned against the academic normalization of relations between Moroccan and Israeli universities, stressing that it legalizes the Zionist occupation of Palestine and contributes to turning a blind eye to the genocidal crimes committed by the Israeli occupation against Palestinians. The movement added that the Israeli genocide, after murdering civilians, women and children, it targeted the universities and institutes of Gaza and destroyed them partly or totally. The movement stressed that targeting education institutions comes as part of the genocide against Palestinians, highlighting the role played by Israeli universities to plan their colonization, crimes, ethnic cleansing and apartheid policies.
Participants to the Sao Paulo Forum have called on all governments of Latin America and Caribbean states to support the right of Sahrawi people to self-determination and independence to achieve the decolonization of the last colony in Africa. The details with Majid Mila.
During the plenary session of the forum, a resolution of support for the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic was approved, in which participants and international organizations were called upon to recognize the right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination and independence. President of Honduras, Xiomara Castro, interim president of the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, reiterated support for self-determination and independence of the people of Western Sahara. The forum was asked participants to promote mobilizations within their governments and parties in order to put pressure on the United Nations Security Council to comply with its resolutions concerning Western Sahara. The participants further demanded that the mandate of the mission of United Nations for the organization of a referendum in Western Sahara may also be equipped with a human rights mechanism in order to monitor and report the situation in the occupied territories and prevent the plundering of this country's natural resources.
2 hours 42 minutes Algeria's time. You still listen to Radio Algeria International. Outgoing Mauritanian President Mohamed Ould Cheikh Al Ghazouani is well ahead of Saturday's presidential election, according to provisional results announced Sunday evening on the website of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Mohamed Ould Cheikh Al Ghazouani holds 56.12% of the votes after 100% of the counting, according to the Commission online platform, which published the results of the vote office. And today, the representative of the Libyan Presidential Council, Abdullah Al-Alfi, has discussed with the head of the Supreme National Electoral Commission ways to support the electoral process in Libya and the level of the Commission's readiness to implement municipal council elections. And to Sudan now, the International Organization for Migration announced the displacement of more than 55,000 people from the town of Sinjar and neighboring villages in Sennar State in southern Sudan following fighting. The organization said in a statement that armed clashes between the Sudanese army and rapid support forces continued to spread in Sennar State, and clashes were reported in the towns of Sinjar. To Europe now, the far-right Rassemblement National Party and its allies are well ahead in the first round on France's early parliamentary elections, with more than 34% of the vote, according to preliminary result. At this stage, the far-right is distancing the left-wing alliance of the Nouveau Front Populaire at 29.1%, and even further the camp of President Emmanuel Macron at 21%, according to initial estimates. Pending the final results of this first round, the political party are expected to confirm these results in the second round scheduled for July 7th. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, and that's it for our news bulletin. I invite you now to listen to a special program devoted to the Green Dam project in Algeria by my colleague Majid Mila.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome on Radio Algeria International. Desertification is a major risk that threatens the arid and semi-arid regions throughout the globe. With continued population growth, it exacerbates, while natural areas regress because of rapid urbanization, increase of cultivated land areas, overgrazing and deforestation. This adds to the effects of climate change. According to the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, the recurring droughts and human activities are the main driving factors of desertification. It's widely recognized that the latter is a serious threat to arid and semi-arid environments, which cover more than 40% of the global land surface. On the occasion of the World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought, United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres said the following.
Humanity is waging a relentless, self-destructive war on nature. Biodiversity is declining, greenhouse gas concentrations are rising, and our pollution can be found from the remotest islands to the highest peaks. We must make peace with nature. The land can be our greatest ally, but the land is suffering. Land degradation from climate change and the expansion of agriculture, cities and infrastructure undermines the well-being of 3.2 billion people. It harms biodiversity and enables the emergence of infectious diseases such as COVID-19.
Algeria, as many countries, is not safe from this risk. Indeed, agronomists and ecologists report that alpha grass cover has reduced while the quality of the grasslands itself is becoming increasingly degraded. To tackle this serious risk, the Algerian authorities developed the Green Dam project as a massive reforestation program aiming to safeguard and to develop of the pre-Saharan areas. From Julfa or Provence, the southern part of Algeria, located at the foot of the Saharan Atlas, where the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, went as part of a working visit of inspection and kicked off the project to revive the Green Dam. The full-scale project aims to create wealth in vast regions of the country thanks to its new environmental and economic dimensions. In the region of Malba, a small rural town, a municipality in the vast steppe of Julfa at 1,170 meters above sea level, President Tebboune has planted a tree, thus symbolically relaunching the Green Dam project. A national strategic project whose socio-economic scope is considerable. The Green Dam was the subject of discussion and study during the Council of Ministers and led President Abdelmadjid Tebboune to say that it must include in its stages of rehabilitation and development the involvement of young skills. Described as an ecological and agroeconomic mega-project, the Green Dam was launched in June 1970. The project was to reforest a corridor 20 kilometers wide and 1,500 kilometers long to serve as an obstacle to the advance of the desert. For years, millions of trees were planted, but given the scale and difficulty of this task, the project was gradually abandoned and relegated to oblivion. The President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, highlighted during one of his meetings of the Council of Ministers, which he chaired, the importance of associating young skills with the rehabilitation and extension project and development of the Green Dam. President Tebboune emphasized the importance of ensuring the desertification of the forest heritage by planting productive, exploitable trees intended for consumption and associating scientific expertise and scientific skills with the rehabilitation and development of the Green Dam, which is a successful experience for Algeria against desertification and the advance of sand towards the north, while qualifying the said project as a national asset.
اليوم فكرة هائلة جيدة جدا تاع السد الأخضر، ولكن ما يمنعنيش باش ندير سد أخضر بالفيسطاش، ما يمنعنيش باش ندير سد أخضر باللوز، ما يمنعنيش باش ندير سد أخضر بالجوز. السد الأخضر ثروة نعتبرها ثروة اقتصادية، مثل ما الغابة في حد ذاتها قلت ثروة اقتصادية مرتبطة بالبشر. ما نخليش الناس ما يدخلوش الغابة، يدخل الغابة يربي المواشي تاعو في الغابة، الله يسهل عليه، لأن البروساي اللي ياكلوها الغنم تمنع الحرائق، ما يبقاش الحشيش الجاف اللي في ساعة يشعل. يزيد يعطوا لانجري الغابة، اللي يبغي يربي النحل في الغابة يتفضل، اللي يبغي يربي الدواجن في الغابة يتفضل. هذه ممنوع، ما ممنوع إلا الشيء اللي منعه الشرع ولا الشيء اللي ما ينفعش المجتمع يضر المجتمع. شيء الآخر كل شيء مباح، تفضلوا انتج وبيع والله يعطيك ويزيدك إن شاء الله.
By relaunching the project of the century, the Algerian authorities therefore brought out a national plan for the rehabilitation, extension and development of the dam. put under the responsibility of the General Directorate of Forests and set up a scientific and technical committee responsible for leading the fight against desertification. For the Director General of Forest, Jamal Touahria, this program aims to ensure the resilience of the entire Green Dam in the face of climate change and a bulwark against desertification and silting issues which could reach the coast, seeing continued soil degradation and drought, which has become more and more widespread in recent years.
The Green Dam program, its rehabilitation or the revamping of the Green Dam. Just so you know, the Green Dam covers 13 provinces of the steppe areas, the areas that have known in 1970 the launch of the Green Dam and the planting of a green belt to combat desertification and demarcate the fight against desertification and limit the advancement of sand. But currently, it is being revived with new technologies under the supervision of a specialized study firm, a rural engineering group. Everything is systematic and programmed. Of course, there are several projects, including the rehabilitation of forest areas by planting trees of forest species, as well as the introduction of resistant varieties such as pistachio trees, carob trees, olive trees, being resistant trees, which play an environmental role in addition to the economic aspects that benefit society and the dwellers of the areas at which the Green Dam is located by providing job opportunities and production so as to be a very important economic aspect. This program, which will be carried out in a period of 7 years, starting from 2023, which is not only limited, as we said, to the planting process, but also to providing water from drilling wells and water tanks. In order for the project to succeed, we must also preserve the steppe places to develop grazing areas to help the farmers.
More than 26 million trees have been planted in the Green Dam areas as part of the current 2020-2023 program. According to the latest report made by Saliha Fortas, the director in charge of the fight against desertification at the General Directorate of Forests, who highlighted the importance of this project with its new perspective. She went on saying that these plantations were carried out over an area of 43,558 hectares. Beyond the ecological importance of this forestry work, which consists of protecting the northern regions from erosion and silting caused by sandstorms. Mrs. Fortas highlighted its socio-economic interest.
Currently,
the Green Dam has taken a new perspective, a scientific, environmental and economic perspective, where our objectives are not only to increase the vegetation cover, but also the afforestation process, which helps stabilizing the soil that is considered suitable for agriculture.
Behind this rampant desertification, which concerns scientists and politicians alike, there is the slow and relentless process of degradation of the steppe due to factors linked to human activity such as extensive pastoralism and poor agricultural practices such as steppe cereal farming being significant sources of erosion. These phenomena, combined with a drop in rainfall, led to the reduction of plant cover, the alteration of soil fertility and their erosion by rain and wind. This is desertification, explains a forestry expert, according to whom this process had already been operational for several decades, mainly between the Sahara Atlas and the last foothills of the Tel Atlas. For Algeria, the new challenge to be taken up is to avoid at all costs that desertification extends to the Tel Atlas and coastal areas. For the agricultural engineer specialist in protection of the environment, nature and biodiversity, Khaled Isani, President Tebboun's orientations are part of the new approach, which consists of involving all stakeholders, including civil society, rural women, young people, private investors, farmers and breeders, in addition to the environmental and renewable energy sectors, and also start-ups, with a view to making this program a success at all levels. He points out that the socio-economic interest of this approach is very important due to the fact that citizens will be involved in the protection of pastures and forest regions, the reforestation of degraded areas in addition to the planting of fruit trees. Through numerous facilitation measures, the government is now encouraging farmers, women and young people to get involved in this ambitious program, notably through the support provided by the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, which offers free training, administrative facilitation and financial aid granted by the FIG program, as well as loans granted to young people via the National Agency for Entrepreneurship Support and Development, ANAD. A budget of 75 billion Algerian dinars was allocated by the public authorities as part of the Green Dam Rehabilitation Program for the period 2023-2030. The program provides for reforestation operations covering an area of 17,000 hectares over 7 years and will involve the populations of 183 municipalities spread over 13 provinces over several stages. The first to be spread over 2023 to 2026 for a budget of 10 billion Algerian dinars. As part of this budget, 30% of rehabilitation operations will be financed, which will allow the creation of more than 10,000 jobs. It's therefore this steppe and pastoral corridor, which runs from Naama to Tibisa over nearly 1,500 kilometers, or a total area of more than 3 million hectares, which was chosen to set up the Green Dam. However, on these vast territories live more than 7 million inhabitants and no less than 25 million sheep, which will have to be integrated into this major project, which is as ecological as it is economical. The idea is therefore to create concessions focused on arboriculture, beekeeping, tourism and crafts. In the immediate future, the first relaunch phase of this project of the century aims to increase its surface area from 3.7 to 4.7 million hectares in the steppe zones across 13 provinces, 183 municipalities and 1,200 localities. An area of 1 million hectares will therefore be reforested. Amarnait Masoud, expert, pointed out that with the cumulative drought of the last 4 years, they are also experiencing the constraint of transporting water to the planting sites, both for the first watering during planting and for watering of maintenance during the summer period, highlighting one of the challenges that a project such as the Green Dam will constantly face. The relaunch of the Green Dam project is a strategic choice in Algeria for the coming decades. It's a judicious decision capable of strengthening sustainable development tools for the benefit of future generations, in addition to its environmental dimension, reflected by the extension of plant cover and the fight against desertification. The Green Dam is a key factor in the development of the region through the creation of jobs and development of the community as a whole. The Green Dam remains a major achievement today, which must be safeguarded and consolidated and, as far as possible, extended. The Algerian experience through the Green Dam is also being used by several African countries as part of the continent-wide project of the Great African Green Wall to combat desertification.
مع إذاعة الجزائر الدولية لن تفوتكم لحظة واحدة من الأخبار السياسية والاقتصادية الهامة. إذاعة الجزائر الدولية، صوتنا في العالم.
العالم يتغير وبسرعة، ونحن نتابع وبدقة. نحاول الوصول إلى الحقيقة من مصدرها مباشرة. إذاعة الجزائر الدولية، صوتنا في العالم.